Something that you wrote here, it's on the jacket. Your circumstances do not define you, your identity does. And many thought football defined you. That was your identity. But it has not been. And how did you prevent that from happening?
Well, I think it's really understanding what matters, what's important in your life, and having something bigger than just what you do. And when you have an identity that's bigger than what you do, even when that fails, or you crumble, or someone says you're not good enough, or you can't, or you won't, or you shouldn't, you can still prevail over that because your life is bigger than that.
National championship, and 2 days afterwards, I was eating dinner, actually eating grouper at Ballyhoo Restaurant in Gainesville, Florida, with my mom, my dad, my aunt, and Coach Meyer. And Coach Meyer gets a call, and he's like, all right, bye. So intense. And I was like, Coach, what's that all about? He said, that's Steve McClain, who was our PR guy at Florida. I said, well, what do you have to say? He said, Tim, he just told me that during the game, 94 million people Googled John 3:16. That game just happened to be January 8th of 2009. Well, exactly 3 years later, January 8th, 2012, exactly 3 years later to the night that I put John 3:16 under my eyes, I was playing quarterback for the Denver Broncos in the first round of the playoffs versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. I didn't think of John 3:16 one time going into that game at all. I didn't even know 3 years from the night that I wore it. Just went out there and tried to win a silly football game, and we were blessed to win this crazy game.
Then came the miracles, a string of improbable late-game victories.
But after Tebow engineered yet another impossible last-minute win with this 80-yard overtime pass.
Afterwards, I go into the locker room, I change really fast, I'm getting ready to walk into the press conference, because I love talking to the media. And so I'm getting ready to walk in this press conference and walk through this curtain, and right as I'm going to walk through, our PR guy, Patrick, jumps in front of me. He's like, Timmy, do you realize what happened? And I was like, yeah, we just beat the Steelers. We're going to play the Patriots. Like, let me do this. And he's like, no, Timmy, you don't realize what happened. And I could tell he's being serious, so I was like, Patrick, what's up, man? He says, Timmy, it's 3 years from the night that you wore John 3:16 under your eyes. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. He's like, no, you don't realize what happened. And I was like, well, what happened? He said, Timmy, during the game, you threw for 316 yards. And your yards per rush were 3.16. And your yards per completion were 31.6. And the time of possession was 31.6. And the ratings for the night were 31.6.
Which leads us to the number that so many people are talking about this morning, 316. That's how many yards Tebow passed for in the game, an eerie echo of the numbers he used to paint on his face.
Tebow passed, now look at these numbers. Tebow passed for 316 yards. He averaged 31.6 yards per pass. And guess what CBS's rating for the game peaked at? You guessed it, 31.6. All those 316s had the fans searching the internet, and that's where they found the famous Bible verse. Tim Tebow sometimes painted John 3:16 on his eye black when he was in college at the University of Florida, and that's a practice, by the way, the NCAA has since banned.
And during the game, 90 million people Googled John 3:16, and so many people were on social media talking about it that it actually shut down Twitter for a little while because it was getting overloaded.
And when Denver quarterback Tim Tebow threw this touchdown pass on Sunday, he entered the record books, not just for football, but because it prompted more than 9,400 tweets per second, a Twitter record for a sporting event.
You know, it's crazy. Tebow is actually more popular than Tom Brady. And it makes absolutely no sense because Brady is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
Still, in just 3 months, Tebow's popularity has skyrocketed.
So you're one of the biggest names in sports.
Humility is something that is really hard, but I think humility comes not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. Meaning, try to look for the people around you and what they need and how you can help them and how you can make an impact in their life, because I think the greatest form of love is choosing the best interest of another person and acting on their behalf. And for me, it's to be able to have a foundation of something bigger in yourself, understand what God says about you, that you are important, that you have a life of significance and you have a life of meaning. And when you understand your purpose, that'll totally change your identity.
And I was just standing in this hallway getting ready to go talk to the media, and I was just so humbled. And my first thought was, dang, I thought tonight was about a game. I thought it was about winning or losing. I thought it was about going to the next round of the playoffs. But the God that we serve is just so much bigger than that. And He can take the games that we're involved in, the jobs that we have, the things that we're doing, and He can transcend them to be so much more than that.
The less you're hoping this world, a relationship, a possession, an accomplishment, can fill some part of you up, the more you let the pressure get turned off, the pressure for it to be that great and that wonderful, and you realize it's fallen, and you realize it's limited, and you realize it can never be what you would build it up to be in your head. Now you can actually see it for what it is and actually enjoy it.
For me, though, I think what I had to realize is there's a verse in Hebrews 10:35. It says, "So then do not forget the confident trust that you have in the Lord, for it will be richly rewarded." And when I read that verse, kind of everything changed for me, because up to that point, I was like trying to find my confidence, like who I was, what I looked like, what social status was, how many friends I had, who my boyfriend was, whatever. But whenever I read that verse, I realized, because in that time, I was not confident at all. I was very insecure, terrible self-image, the whole 9 yards, really struggled with an eating disorder, all of it. Because I was trying to find my confidence in things that doesn't promise confidence.
So if your eggs are in this basket, you have a problem. You're going to be clinging to something that you cannot hang on to. Paul put it this way in Romans 8:19, one of the most powerful verses in the Bible. He says, "For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us." If you think about the vastness of heaven, if you think about the glory of heaven, it will cause all the things you face here to be put in perspective.
You will not look at yourself the way you think that you do now. I'm telling you, it's a totally different perspective whenever you find yourself through His eyes, through someone who radically loves you in an overwhelming way.
You can actually look at your job, and you can look at opportunities, and you can look at sports, and you can look at taking a vacation, you can look at a car, and now that you know it's not going to meet some deficiency in you, you can actually find joy and take pleasure even in the simplest of things.
And I remember standing in that hallway thinking, wow, the God that I love, the God that we serve is so much bigger than I even thought or imagined. And how He can take the little things that we do when we step out in faith, when we step out with courage.
To go out in the world and just devote your life to Him and start declaring truth over this world. That's all we need.
All those 316s had the fans searching the internet, and that's where they found the famous Bible verse where Jesus said, "For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, so that whoever believes in Him will not perish, but have everlasting life."
While we do not look at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporary, but the things which are not seen are eternal.